Hi.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Wow.
So we're gonna mostly discuss A and then our quit projects. So first of all, what our thoughts are about treatment being mostly about behavioral coping skills from chapter 11, which talks a lot about different tangible, I guess, behavioral. I think of them as like tangible interventions that kind of directive, like things you can give your client to do, which is like having someone monitor their meds or helping them find a job or teaching them how to say no. Um,
Hmm.
and then giving them incentives, which is interesting, like the whole contingency management piece. Um,
Um, I liked what they said about they talked a lot about emotional regulation and
Hmm.
kind of learning how to be assertive with your communication skills and how you respond to things and just kind of understanding how to get that sense of self-control back. I thought that was really interesting because I feel like a lot of times that can kind of build a support system. Like if you're able to kind of advocate for yourself and manage your emotions, I think that could be a really great way to also I guess deal with the urges to relapse or to engage in certain behaviors. So I
Hmm.
thought that was really interesting. And then I also the idea of a reward system, I have kind of mixed thoughts on because they talked about in the short term that can be really effective, but then what happens when the rewards go away? So I felt like yeah, no, the different training and behaviors that you can do at any given point, I felt like we're a little bit more something I kind of understand more, I guess.
mhm. I think it's nice to have something to give people. I guess this touches on what we talked about either last week or the week before. But like when we were saying with brief interventions, it's good to have something rather than nothing. And I feel like a lot of these things are just practical skills that it's good to have, and especially like with the coping and regulation, if drugs are just being used for coping and regulation, of course someone's going to need an alternative for that. If they just quit the drug, what's going to be replacing it? So to me, that's just such a practical approach. Like, yeah, makes sense. A plus B equals C. Like, if you're losing your coping skill, you're gonna need a new one.
And I think too, it's like we all need these things, whether we struggle with substance abuse or not. And I think, um, yeah, I found it really like necessary for all humans. And then yeah, especially people who suffer from substance abuse, the scaffolding to yeah, deal with all the human experience, stressors and whatnot. I thought it was interesting too, the like self-monitoring. Again, I'm like, I want to use this because it's just like really, yeah, like
Like,
laid out the situation, thoughts, organism, response, consequences.
hmm
Yeah, and it just seems like really, really necessary, especially for this population.
hmm
Yeah, I agree. At first, I didn't really like it, right? I'm like, oh, behavioral, but I'm like humanistic or whatever. It's like too superficial. It's not, deep enough. But I totally um, agree that when you actually look at what works for people, even for myself and for my kids and just my own life, it's nice when you get positive feedback on something. And it does just fuel that desire to keep doing what's right. Like it's like, oh, somebody noticed, right? Like I did something different. Um, so yeah, I mean, it can be really significant, right? It can be really powerful, especially for people who are going through withdrawal and who need that extra dopamine or that reinforcement from others around them and from themselves too, right? To replace that deficit from the substance or behavior that was being used to get the dopamine or the rush or whatever it was.
I think
Mhm.
this was like from a different chapter, but there was one where they talked about it was like the VA rollout and the incentive was like finding like housing, like that was like the incentive to like I guess get sober or
Mm.
I guess
Mhm.
just like deal with substance abuse issues. So I thought that was interesting and like I feel like it's a great idea, but like just kind of knowing how those things typically go, I can see how it could be like I don't know. Like I can see how that could be used as like kind of a I don't know what I'm trying to say. But I did like that idea initially of just like yeah, like helping someone get housing and helping someone like kind of build that foundation. But yeah, that was interesting to read about.
Yeah, also how like sorry, just going back to the reinforcement about like how punishment just doesn't work, right? And how
Right.
it's
Reward.
so evident in these some of these people's lives, right? There's just such an accumulation of negative responses, but it's still not changing the behavior. So it's just I like how that was made really explicit. It's like, yeah, obviously, yeah, it doesn't work. So punishment's not the way to go. Just like being gentle and noticing what's good is the way to go. Or something I learned recently is like take another picture. Like if you see something negative, like look again, try to find
Mhm.
something, right?
Mhm.
So that's
Yeah,
the way to go.
didn't mean to cut you off. I think there's a little lag, but in her lecture, I think she said you need like 16 positive experiences to outweigh one negative experience. So to your point, Venus, it's like that it is really important having that positive reinforcement. And I was also thinking this is from another chapter, the family one, but how so often people are positively reinforced to continue the drinking behavior. Like, I don't know if you guys remember it was like the husband who has to call in sick from work and then his wife gives him a lot of love and affection and like brings him food in bed and then he just drinks all day in bed. And it's like that is going to be if that's going to be happening, then it's good to have someone else who's giving positive reinforcement for not drinking. If like society and your family and probably the circles you're in, if this is what you've been doing for a long time, might be reinforcing you to drink, having someone there checking in who's reinforcing you when you're sober, I'm sure is really beneficial.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes me think about the part about community, the communication and like how to foster social, like supportive social interactions. And I interpreted that as like, yeah, finding community that is also on either a sober journey or, um, yeah, like value the like deep relationships or relationships where, you can express yourself and like show up as yourself. And again, I'm just the theme of like we all need and want that as humans. And so going back to like basics, which we're not really taught even as children, like how to communicate, like nonviolent, like I don't know, all these beautiful frameworks um that I feel like I'm still learning. And I'm like, oh wow, this would have been really cool to have earlier on.
Really.
Yeah.
Thinking about like later on in recovery, like I could see how at the beginning there might be more positive reinforcement from the community, like your family just being like, this is great, you know. But with time, it might wane because then you're like, this is the new norm, but we might not notice just
Mm.
how effort is going into not relapsing. Um, so I was just wondering, like, how long is this like forever always um, pointing out the positive for the person who struggled with substance use or a particular behavior, right? Because they might just continue needing that, even though it might people around them might just take it for granted. So maybe in therapy, it might be like maybe the only time that they are really honest with how much effort is going into staying sober.
That's a really good point about like how long it
Actually
would.
need.
Oh, I think I don't know if it's my video or Venus's that's cutting out because
Um,
I but am I normal?
Yeah, you're good.
Recording? Okay.
I
Oh
think both
no.
kind of went out for a minute.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good now though.
Um, I was gonna say that like continual checkup does make me think about the incentives and how that would be a barrier. Like in the article saying that money is the biggest barrier to the contingency management. But also in the book, they're like part of the problem that there's with the financial piece is like so much money's being allocated to other things. And it's just kind of an interesting thought experiment. Like, what if that money was just being allocated towards giving people cash rewards or housing as a reward or rewards for their drinking? But then, like, it's kind of you have to sustain that long term and for how long. And it's like a whole financial puzzle, probably, that is definitely out of my scope of practice.
And then like from that, I think what I was mentioning earlier is like in that, say like they get their reward, like monetary, housing, whatever it may be, and then they have a relapse moment. Like, what does that mean for their situation? Like, are those rewards going to be taken away from them? Like,
It's a really good point.
yeah, I think like that was something I was thinking about too, is like what happens if like there is a relapse and it is like a mental health crisis, or it's like something deeper than just like addiction, like what we've been talking about. And so whoever's putting these reward systems in place, like what's their response to that? Because it's gonna likely to happen to some people.
Mhm.
And yeah,
It's a
like
lot of
what
pressure.
exactly, and like what things are in place to help them continue to the sobriety, like continue to not feel that immense pressure to like keep it going when there's all this shit going on around them. So yeah, that's kind of the other thing I was thinking about.
Should we talk about our quit projects? Or are we at like have we been going
Um,
too long?
I think we can talk about it now. I don't know how long it's been, but like 15 minutes in.
If everyone just wants to keep it to a minute, maybe we can just kind of mention it.
It's a good idea.
I can talk about mine.
Yeah.
It's so hard. Oh my God. Did stop yelling, especially like I snap sometimes. I feel like I'm such a good mom most of
Good
the
one.
time. And then sorry, am I cutting out? Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Yeah, you're good.
But then sometimes I just like during I think it's mostly stressful moments when I'm just like running short on time or something, I'll yell. Like I'll have a snappy moment and I'm like, shit, like this is like not good, right? So that's what I'm stopping is like I think it's so hard to pinpoint what it is. It's like the reactivity, like speaking when I'm angry. So, but sometimes it's just too late. I've already acted on it. So just again, it happened today, and I'm like, so anyway, it's really hard. I said I was going to step away when angry or frustrated instead of like communicating when I'm feeling like that. Like I have to wait till I settle. But sometimes when there's like just a time crunch, it's like I don't have that time to step away. So that's my dilemma. I have to be able to self-soothe or something kind of quickly. Or like even catch it before it happens. Like it feels like I'm already like on autopilot. So it's been really, really hard, but it's something super important to me.
I love that. That's like really that's a good one. And I also snap, so I understand the challenge.
Same here. That's a really good idea. That would be hard.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. I can go. I'm doing like just like I'm trying to just like use my phone less in general, but specifically with like buying things online and online shopping and like retail therapy, I need to like I had deleted a lot like all the apps off my phone like a couple weeks ago because I was like, okay, you need to stop. Like this is like chill. But yeah, just like buying stuff online, like if I'm like stressed or if I'm like bored, just like scrolling and like being like, oh, like TikTok shop like has gotten me way too many times and I need to like get away from there. But yeah, and I also feel like I'll get things and just like be lazy and like not want to return them and then just like they just sit in my closet. So just like being more mindful about what I'm spending money on.
Yeah.
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 I
Okay.
I like the way you're phrasing it. I'm having like challenge with like quitting, like quit this instead of being like, oh, what's like a habit I want to form there's just something there that I'm gonna write about in the paper. And like I don't currently have anything where I'm like, I need to quit this. And I think that's just because that's not the language maybe that resonates with me. Um, so I haven't like decided yet, but I've been like, I definitely have had a TV addiction, like Netflix binge watching. But this past like 2 months, I have not watched TV just from like my schedule, and it's felt so good, as I call it, like rot your brain, which sometimes like with everything, like balance is okay. But I can definitely, yeah, get into seasons where I'm not mindful of it, or I'm just like, this just feels good, and it's like, but it's like a lot. Um, and I'm like, what am I numbing? So yeah, I'm like, maybe it's that, but I'm already kind of like, I have not watched TV. So I've watched like a movie and I'm like, that feels way better. And it's just like a contained thing versus like continue watching what Netflix does. So I think mine might be that unless something pops up in the next, I think actually whatever this is, when I need to probably write our professor an email. So I need to figure out what the date is. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I am doing TV, so
Mm,
but I'm doing well, my goal is to do like TV and movies.
hmm
And I have binged before, but I don't usually go into like too long of a binge, just like schedule wise. I definitely could. I've been there, but I haven't in a while just because I've been busy. But more so for me, it's that like the 2 hours I have like after I'm done working before I start getting ready for bed, I can fill that with TV. And I don't have as many other hobbies as I would like. And so my goal in quitting is okay, if I have an open 2 hours and I'm not just filling it with TV in which I'm consuming passively rather than creating actively, can I fill that time with other things? And like there's already things I want to do. Like I want to practice piano. I want to like I have these like charms and this jewelry chain I want to put the charms on and they've just been sitting in my room. Like stuff like that where I'm like I could, and what I usually do is just like I'm so tired, I just want to turn something on and be passive. But I'm excited to have the time to force myself kind of to be like, okay, kind of like change your habit and your neural pathways to be like, that's just not my default.
Hmm. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I can totally relate to when you're just tired, right? And you're just like, what can I do that's not going to expend more energy? So, yeah.
Emily
Yeah.
mentioned brain rot, and like I call it that too, because like I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna go do this. Then next thing I know, it's been 30 minutes and I'm like just staring at my phone. And I'm like, I need to just because I feel like since I've started school, it's gotten worse because I've been so like tired. Because like
Mhm.
I used to like read a lot and like have way more just like time to like want to learn other things. But since being so busy with school, I'm like, oh, like I don't have the brain power to think. Like, let me just brain rot away. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's
It's
crazy.
tough in
So,
this, yeah, school. It's a lot. It takes a lot.
A lot.
I'm
I'll
gonna
also say I haven't actually done any hobbies yet in the past week, but instead I've been going to bed earlier, which that's
good.
a fine outcome too, instead
Yeah.
of just like staying up brain rotting.
Mhm.
I'm trying to like Halloween shop for like costumes and stuff. And I was like, oh, let me go. And then I was like, oh, I can't. I was so like, but like I went out with my friend, like we went to Haight Street and went shopping. So like it's like I've been able to like go out more, I guess. Like I like hung out with like friends instead of just yeah, but I was like, where's my app? And then I was like, oh shit, like I don't have it anymore. I deleted it. Like, right. Yeah. It was funny.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.